Three, two, one.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Joe Bob.
That is actually her name, Joe Bob.
Live from the dingy bunker that is completely and totally and utterly cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Joe Bob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. On today, it is Thursday, February 15th, the year of our Lord 2023. My name is Joe Bob. I have some thoughts about some things. A lot of stuff to get to. Fani Willis in court today, or at least her office being in an evidentiary hearing. We'll talk about that coming up. Also, some more, some way back throwback stuff of Trump, which is really kind of interesting considering the new information that we talked about yesterday regarding Obama and definitely spying probably on the Trump campaign. Also, cops, there was a video that's been going nuts around the internet that I got to show you. This police officer, I believe in Florida, gets spooked by an acorn hitting his car and does some things that you don't want cops to do, especially when in the line of duty. And the U.S. Constitution, vandalized in the rotunda of the Capitol. Nothing damaged, but, just a crazy scene going on there. Want to get to this first because I feel like this is, this could be very interesting. Big Fani's big hearing. If you're not familiar with this story and you haven't been paying attention too much, we'll catch you up briefly. Big Fani Willis, the DA in Fulton County, Georgia, that brought RICO charges against a former president of the United States, a person who also ran on the entire idea of, I'm gonna get Trump. But again, this is not a political prosecution. This is just a definitely fair prosecution. But that lady we found out, that she was hiring certain individuals who had no business being hired onto that particular case, the Trump case in particular, to prosecute Donald Trump and 23 other co-defendants. One of the dudes that she hired also happened to be her boyfriend, and they were taking lavish vacations, and he made, $700,000 in a single year alone just on that case, despite having not been a prosecutor, and the times that he did act as a prosecutor, prosecuted misdemeanors, and also is mostly a personal injury attorney. All of that is just to quickly catch you up on what's happening now. So, correctly so, a bunch of people said, hey, this is a huge conflict of interest. And the reason why they said that is because it's a huge conflict of interest. You can't have the lady who's prosecuting the former president of the United States hiring her boyfriend, of all people, to help with the prosecution and then use taxpayer dollars to pay him for a job that his resume would suggest that he is not qualified for at all. That is the definition of corruption, which is ironic considering her entire thing is getting Donald Trump because he's corrupt. And, I'm going to say this probably every day. Defending Donald Trump is not one of my favorite things to do. That being said, the guy has made a career, a political career at the very least, of being treated horribly unfairly. And this is the case here as well. I want to play you just like a 12-second clip of something. This is kind of the feel and the vibe of the courtroom. This is the judge handling some, felonious activity going on in the courtroom while what's his name? Nathan something, Fanny's boyfriend, is testifying. Watch this and, yeah, just watch this.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
Is it going to play?
Cash. She didn't,
Maybe
she
it's
didn't
not
give
gonna
me
play.
checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations.
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
That was my bad. The volume wasn't on. Let me replay that.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
I was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations.
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I don't know what Mr. Schaefer did or why they might be asked to step out, but the judge, according to everybody on the internet, is like, okay, this guy's a serious dude and is handling this sternly. But I think the big thing that a lot of people missed when retweeting that video, that happened earlier this morning, I believe, is what the guy said. Nathan, what's his last name? Somebody in the comment section, let me know what that guy's last name is, because it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite figure or remember what the dude's. Hold on, never mind. Anyways, Fanny's boyfriend said something that I feel like a lot of people missed. The question was, before the judge snapped at whoever he snapped at, how did Fanny repay you? What account did you deposit Fanny's reimbursements? Now, why is she asking for reimbursements? Because Fanny's defense is, well, no, we were just friends, and we didn't use any of the taxpayer money that I paid this guy, my boyfriend, to go on the lavish vacations that we went on. We split the bill because, of course, you would split the bill, and that's how we did it. We didn't use taxpayer dollars inappropriately. So that's why they asked, well, okay, so if they split the bill, if Fanny split the bill with you, where did you deposit the money? And he said, again, the thing that I feel like a lot of people are missing, oh, it was all cash. Yeah. Oh, or did she not pay you? Right? Because then there would be a cash withdrawal, unless Fanny's got a side hustle in which she accepts cash, and I'm assuming pays all of her taxes on that cash that she accepts, and then reimbursed her friend, not boyfriend, with cash. I'm sure that definitely happened, but apparently a lot of people missed that component of, well, they talked about the judge, getting the courtroom in order, but missed the point where, like, oh yeah, she definitely reimbursed you in cash. Sure, dude. We all totally believe that. Now, on the other hand, and this show today I think is going to have a lot of hands. On the one hand, the judge doing his thing, great. On the other hand, we missed the point where he said, she just paid me in cash. Nobody believes that. But I guess on the third hand that we have, good on them for using cash, if that is the case, and promoting Americans to use cash because, like he's pointing out here, it's more difficult to trace. Of course, any cash that I get is immediately reported to the IRS, as I'm sure you and everyone you know does also, but I guess they're just trying to point out the fact that if you do use cash, it's more difficult to track your whereabouts and your earnings and what you spend your money on. But again, of course, I don't do that, and I'm sure none of you do that as well. But regardless, Big Fanny has an evidentiary hearing today. That'll be going on for, I think, the majority of the day. I think MSNBC is carrying the whole stupid thing live, which is just nuts to me that is it. They believe that is as engaging to be able to carry that for as long as they are. But what are the implications of this? What happens if the judge deems, yeah, this is a super inappropriate relationship, which it sure looks like it is? Well, Fanny could be kicked off of the case, and by that happening, it would remove her entire office from the case. There was a commentator on CNN, I don't know his name, but he's an attorney. He said, and I believe him, that if that were to happen, there is no way that this gets tried in 2024. And if it doesn't get tried in 2024 and Donald Trump is effectively, well, let's just assume that he wins the presidency, as all the polls numbers would indicate that he would as of right now against Joe Biden. If that's the case, then effectively nothing will happen. This whole thing will, in effect, be nothing because Big Fani Willis, the prosecutor that tried to get Trump and ran on getting Trump, was messing around with someone using taxpayer dollars. If you're on the side of we need to get Trump, how disappointing is that? That this lady is going to ruin it in the Georgia case. The whole indicting a former president got ruined by the dude Alvin Bragg, the DA in Manhattan, on that insanely stupid paperwork case that he was first indicted on. If you are of the mindset of, you gotta get Trump, we've gotta get Trump, wouldn't you be horribly disappointed at the people that are taking the wheel on that? I don't know. I would. But enough on that. We'll see how that ends up turning out. I don't know. Should be an interesting thing to continue to watch. I want to move to this because I think this is, well, this is just interesting on its face. A lot of people have been sharing this video, and I don't want to belittle it because it is an important thing, but a lot of people have, I think, been having a much more cursory reaction to this. If you haven't seen this already, I'll explain it to you in what happens. And there's a funny side to it, there's a horrifying side to it, and then there's also a 30,000-foot view big picture side to it. Let me briefly explain here. There's a cop in Florida that arrests a guy, I'm not sure what for. I think he was being a disturbance to the neighborhood and refused to stop being a disturbance to the neighborhood. I don't know exactly why the guy was arrested or sitting in the backseat of the car, but he's in the back seat of this guy's police cruiser, the sheriff cruiser, and an acorn falls on the hood of the cop car, which, or at least that's what the story is. The cop thinks it's gunfire, runs away, rolls on the ground, radios that he's been hit, and then unloads his gun into his own car and hits nothing. Now, the funny part about it is, I think probably best pointed out by Tim Pool on Twitter, where he says, this is like an episode of Reno 911. This guy got spooked, rolls on the ground, screams, unloads his entire clip into his own car, and hits nothing. That is kind of funny. I will have you that. It's also horrifying that this would happen. And again, like I said, there's a bigger picture scope. I'm going to play this video for you really quick. We're not going to play the entire 3 minutes of it, but just kind of the gist of what happened here. And we'll discuss after that. Watch this.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! You know. Ah! Oh, I'm hit! I'm hit! What? I'm hit! In the car! I was shot through the car! Oh!
That's pretty much the extent of it.
I'm good. I feel weird, but I'm good.
That's pretty much the extent of it. Really kind of all you need to see or all you need to know, but that's basically what it is. It's explained it up front. Acorn or something hits the cop car. He thinks he hears gunshots, rolls around on the floor, unloads his entire clip into his own car. So yes, it's funny. It looks funny on its face. But we also can't deny the fact that this is horrifying. And it is interesting to see how the commentators of the world, the online folks, reacted to this sort of thing. A lot of my friends on the conservative side of the aisle went nuts on this. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Yes, it is, I guess, somewhat entertaining if you want to look at it that way. I kind of don't really want to because this is a serious thing that happened in the real world. But a lot of people pounced on it saying, holy cow, look at this crazy cop. And I was wondering, why is that the immediate jump for a lot of the conservative commentators? I don't disagree, but it is interesting to kind of see that and see how it unfolds. And I think the reason for that is because the mainstream media, the lefty side of the aisle, all of the big institutions have been harking on the fact that conservatives don't police their own when it comes to law enforcement. Police, I guess, being the operative word. But they don't hold law enforcement accountable. And I think conservatives embraced that probably too much, and therefore are the first to jump at anything critical going on in the police department to say, look, no, we are holding our own accountable, because obviously considering that most conservatives, all conservatives really, are big backers of law enforcement, back the blue, all of that sort of stuff, as I am as well. But at the same time, because everyone is so quick to jump on the back of this, I think we've missed a bigger picture thing, which is, again, the third hand that we're talking about today. We've got a lot of hands in this. First hand is it's funny. Second hand, it's horrifying, and a lot of people pointed that out. The third hand, because I effectively have three hands today, is the 30,000-foot view big picture scope of this. Why did this happen? And it's weird that not a lot of people are asking this question, but it is interesting when you dissect it at least just a little bit. Look, I don't know the situation of this particular officer. He's since resigned. Now that this video is out in public, I believe, and making the rounds. I also don't know if he resigned before that or how that transpired, but he's no longer a police officer. But the 30,000-foot view of it would be, if you look at the culture of law enforcement around the country, it's not difficult to understand the direction that it's going. And what I mean to say is I have a lot of friends in law enforcement who tell me routinely how difficult it is to recruit people for LEO departments, how difficult it is to be a law enforcement officer nowadays, and how much scrutiny there is on them now. I think that's not an uncommon thought amongst people that are paying attention to things like this or like to the news. Everybody's pretty much aware that it's more difficult to hire cops, being a cop is more difficult, and there is a ton of scrutiny on cops as a whole right now, as put on by, well, really everybody. And people are just dogpiling on. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, because we should hold people accountable, but at the same time, understand where that leads us. If there is a huge lack of cops, good cops or cops that are already on patrol can only work so much overtime before you have to make sure that you fill job positions. And if the goal is to fill job positions equally as doing the job well, which I don't think it should be, I think that doing the job well should be the first and utmost priority, but I can see a position where a sheriff's department or a police department has such a need because of the culture that we've created around policing. They go, okay, well, we just need people. And with that, I'm not saying that standards necessarily have dipped, but it wouldn't be a tough argument to make that standards and training for people who are becoming police officers now may be less than what it was to begin with. And again, I'm not saying that this happens specifically in this case. Again, I don't know anything about that. I'm just looking at this from a 30,000-foot view and understanding, yeah, this is the kind of thing that could happen. Maybe it did happen in this case, but it's the kind of thing that could happen when you have the culture that we have. I did an entire documentary on this with the Daily Caller, just basically talking about the sentiment around police officers. And if you have this anti-police force, defund the police mindset, what you're going to have is a desperation for law enforcement operations to have people just be cops. And if that's the case, then you're probably going to have people out in the field, maybe, again, I don't know if this is that particular situation, you're going to have, it seems to be inevitable to have people out in the field that may be undertrained, may have less experience than you want, but you need to fill those job vacancies, and you need to fill those enforcement officer vacancies that have been effectively created by the culture that we have going on now. And so if that is the case, something like this seems less surprising. There's a comical element to it, there's a horrifying element to it, and then there's this like philosophical element to it of, well, because of the culture that we've devised, this sort of thing isn't shocking, at least to me. And I think if you think about it for a little bit, I don't think it's shocking to you either. It would seem that because we've created this nasty culture around police officers, it's become more difficult, they're more stringent on them, it's more difficult to hire people. Incidents like this, which are horrifying, might happen more often. I don't know. Three hands there. The three-handed explanation of what's going on here. Again, you know, thank God nobody was hurt. Thank God the cop missed the entirety when he shot into his own cruiser. But, I don't know. What a weird thing to be looking at. Anyways, let's see. Moving on, because I think we kind of have to. Here's this, and I think this is interesting. Constitution display got vandalized yesterday with some weirdos vandalizing, because that's what weirdos do. I'm going to play you this clip really quick, and then we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because this is not this is not at all groundbreaking. This sort of thing happens constantly, and I would like to mostly play this just to point out the fact that this happens constantly and no difference was made. I hope these people are punished to the full extent of the law. Check this out.
We are determined to foment a rebellion. We will not be held accountable to laws in which we have no voice or representation.
This country is founded on the conditions that all men are created equally and endowed with the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're calling for all people to have all these rights, not just wealthy white men. We all deserve clean air, water, food, and a livable climate.
Right now, our children, we don't want to see our children have to go through the end of civilization, but that's the path we're currently on. Joe Biden, we need you to declare a climate emergency.
We need you to immediately desubsidize from fossil fuels and start moving towards real climate solutions.
I'm going to turn it down. It feels like they ran out of things to say because they were wondering, hey, how come we haven't gotten arrested yet? How come we haven't been dragged off yet? This is way too long for us to be standing here without being tackled to the ground. And why are the Capitol Police just standing there? Like, that's, I think, what I don't understand. Is I kind of feel like, well, one, it's weird. What are they doing? Arrest those dudes. But also, I wonder if these guys, like, just ran out of stuff to say because they weren't anticipating being allowed to do what they're doing for as long as they were allowed to do it.
President Biden, please declare a climate emergency. America, please declare a climate emergency. This is terrifying. We need to act like we're terrified, or else no one will believe that this is really as bad as it is.
You gotta clear the area.
Oh, you have to leave?
Isn't again the only reason, and then they're kicking other people out? What is this? Look, again, the only reason I'm letting this go on for so long is because, what, don't you just tackle those guys? And just get them out as fast as possible? Don't let them sit there and just, like, tell all their points. And again, I don't think they were prepared to do that. They're like, wow, we get a long time just standing here in front of the Constitution that we just sprayed with. Now, just for the record, the National Archives came out and said the Constitution itself wasn't damaged at all, which makes sense. But the fact that they're still milling around... You can just do this, I guess?
You're okay with me staying at the gate?
No, you can stay right there.
Okay,
I can't do anything with you.
All right.
And the priority was clearing the rotunda? I guess... See, and then he lies on the floor. Dude.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Thank you very much. Mayor, can you go to selected, please?
There's a couple things, and I guess I'll just talk while this is playing because it's still going.
Clear it out. Clear it out for me, sir.
What I think, oh, never mind, now it's over. All right. What I think happens here is, well, effectively nothing. That's really the point that I'm trying to make. Nothing happened, except for people watching that realizing, hey, they just got peacefully taken away. And I would imagine because it's Washington, D.C., and nobody gets charged for anything there, nothing will happen to them either. They're probably out on cashless bail already. But the fact that there wasn't, in my opinion, an urgent enough response to that, which is something that's ridiculous, that's only going to encourage more of that. Now, the problem on the other side is I don't think that convinced anybody. I don't want to stop oil anymore, or any less, really. Actually, no, I lied. I now want to stop oil less because of those idiots. But, one, there's no goal being accomplished by the quote-unquote protesters. I call them vandals/rioters. Nothing is being accomplished on their end. But on the other side, apparently, nothing happens to you if you do that, which I think only encourages more of that sort of thing happening. But that's enough of that. We don't really need to belabor on that. I do want to get to this because I think this is interesting. This is just, I don't know, an update, but not really an update. I just found this video yesterday. So we talked pretty extensively about this yesterday. Turns out the Obama administration, including the CIA, the intelligence community, asked our allies to spy on Trump, and then they found the Hillary Clinton planted evidence of Russia hoax, which is how the FBI started looking into Trump, because is this whole thing. Go watch yesterday if you want a recap of everything. But the bottom line is, yeah, pretty clearly looks like if it wasn't just the FBI tapping the Trump phones, it was definitely them doing this at the CIA level from an international intelligence community organization spying on Donald Trump. Now, the only reason I want to rehash this is because I thought this was interesting. I saw this floating around just the Twitter sphere of an interview of Donald Trump on 60 Minutes with Lesley Stahl. And I want you to see and hear how dismissive Lesley Stahl is that, no, that didn't happen. There's no evidence of that. When he pretty clearly, and if anybody would know, it would be him, pointing out the fact that, yeah, the Obama camp, the administration is spying on him. Watch this.
Watch him walk out of a store, and he's walking with an ice cream. And the question the media asks him, what kind of ice cream, what flavor ice cream do you have? And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking,
he's
of course
not.
he is,
No.
Leslie.
Come on.
Of course he is. It's the biggest, second biggest scandal.
So,
the biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my
well,
campaign,
there's
Leslie.
no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know.
You see, I always wonder too. Like, I wonder if Lesley Stahl is just so siloed in her media intake that she's like, there's no way that that's true. But I mean, clearly, like at this point, I'm like, all right, like I assume that at this point. I don't know. Maybe that's the downside of entirely siloed media, is that you get stuff like this where this is 60 Minutes. We can't put on nonsense like that. Even though, even at the time, there was like, yeah, this is pretty clearly that the FBI, at least in some capacity, was spying when I came in. This is, I think that interview was done before the Durham report came out. No, it had to have been done before the Durham report came out, which he was right. Again, I don't know. I hate that being, I guess, a conservative has become constantly having to defend Donald Trump, but at the same time, what else are you going to do when somebody is constantly mistreated, at least treated unfairly, by all of the media outlets? I don't know. I don't think you have really any other option. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting kind of thing. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see if it gets the media coverage and attention that it probably deserves. But that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. I will be on Newsmax coming up in about an hour or so. We're doing like a big, long thing on John Bachman's show. We're really excited about that. I think we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. So if you get the Newsmax networks, go ahead and click on over there flip on over there in, I don't know, an hour or so. I think 10:15. What is it? I don't know. 1:15 East. I don't know. Doesn't matter. In about 30 minutes, we're going on Newsmax, and there's really no other reason for me saying that other than that's what I have to do later on today. But let's see. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB pretty much anywhere. You'll be able to find me. I am in, let's see, announcements. Where am I? I'm in North Carolina, March 6th with Candace Owens. I'm in Corona, California, doing a comedy show, which is not the TPUSA tour, and a full-blown comedy show. And it's hilarious. The Elephant Party Improv Group is there. They're fantastic. I'm also included in that. That's March 16th. Then March 18th, I'm in San Diego at San Diego State University with Charlie Kirk. March 19th, I am in Pittsburgh with Candace Owens. March 26th, I'm in, oh my gosh, Lubbock, Texas, I believe, at Texas Tech, and then with Charlie Kirk. And then there's more dates in April and May, but I'll get to that when we get closer to those. But appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.